Today we're joined by a true South African trailblazer, a woman who has broken barriers, challenged stereotypes, and inspired millions through her work in fashion, film, and activism. And now she's turning the page, quite literally, and stepping into a brand new chapter as a children's book author. Now, her debut book, Zizi's World Through Her Vanilla Eyes, is a beautifully written and illustrated story about identity, self-love, and embracing your uniqueness, seen through the eyes of a young girl with albinism. Now, joining us to talk about her new literary journey and her continued mission to uplift and empower is the one, the only, Refilwe Modiselle.
I love the energy. Hello, Queen.
How are you doing, my queen?
I'm so good.
It's so good to have you back. The last time you were here, I actually was watching the show, right? And there was one thing that you said, and you put it so beautifully. You were like, your life is a kaleidoscopic journey.
Oh
and
my gosh, she was listening.
I was. And if anything, it needs its own biopic, right? And that kaleidoscope just continues to show us a different light.
Yeah.
We are seeing the yellow, we are seeing the green, we are seeing just stars as it continues to turn. And this new light that you are stepping into is that of being an author, right?
Published author.
Published author, please get it right. But let's talk about this journey, right? Because I think for most parts, a lot of the time when people decide that they want to write a book, it's usually a book about their life. It's usually an autobiography where you're just sharing your life's journey. You've taken a different direction and you've decided that you are going to bring forth a children's book.
Yeah.
Talk to us about the reasoning behind that and why it was important for you to start here.
Ironically, I thought I was going to write like an autobiography in the latter of my life. And it's funny that you reference back to what I said, like doing a biopic or whatever the case is. And I thought that would happen in the latter of my life. But lo and behold, the opportunity came when Lingua Franca came to my doorstep, the publishers.
Lovely.
And they said, hey, you know, we identify certain people we want, you know, we see writing a children's book with, because they are one of the leading publishers in the forefront of children's books and as well as textbooks, etc., etc. So it's their forte. And I thought, okay, am I really going to write a book?
Sure.
But also it was one of those things of, I love children. I think people have seen my relationship with my niece and just how I am very affectionate towards children and just my passion for children and education as well. And this was just the perfect opportunity to just marry the two. An educational book for children, because I believe in the foundation of bringing that back home, the foundation of children and how we shape them. And this was just the perfect opportunity to write Zizi's World through her vanilla eyes.
Would you then not say that parts of what you have written in Zizi's book then does form part of the story, your own personal story that you felt you wanted to tell?
I would really like to say to people, go get the book and find out. But in all honesty, it is inspired by my experience. But the difference is that it is my experience, but a twisted experience. And I say that because I've had to marry my inspired experience with another child's experience with albinism. So because Refilwe's experience might be slightly different, but I had to include the other child with albinism so that it is a lesson across the board holistically, bringing the overall child with albinism like into play and bringing it into the forefront of the world, introducing the world to just that, you know, because there's never been a book like this. It's the first of its
kind, ma'am. Another tick on the book of first for you, ma'am.
I'm a first manini.
And I love it for you. I absolutely love it for you. But you know, one of the key themes in the book is belonging and resilience, right? Talk to us about that, and what do you hope for young readers, and not just young readers, because I do imagine that as parents read to their children, there is something within them that is going to change as well. What are you hoping that thing will be that changes in those that read?
Absolutely. So I was deliberate, like you say. I was deliberate in writing the book that, yes, it's for children, ages 4 to 12. But the parent is also drawn in, not because they're reading the book, but because I was very strategic, or very, how can I say, there's a method to my madness in bringing both the child and the adult into play.
I love that.
So as much as you're reading that book, I want to tap into the psyche of also adults, to take them back to understanding why it is that they are the way that they are. So it's clocking into certain aspects. It is first shaping the child in terms of their mindset and how it is that they clocked, for them to know, to be emotionally mature, have a sense of self-love, have a sense of knowing what the world is like, that the world is your oyster, because that book encompasses that, but also bringing the adult in, remembering literature, remembering the love for what we're like with the inner child, but also thinking about how are we psychologically as human beings, and how do we then play a role in shaping our children in the roles that we play, just as parents and just as a society all around. Because it's not just parents, it's aunts, it's uncles, it's grannies, it's educators also at large.
Absolutely. You know, the one thing with books is ultimately the story that's being told. But when it comes to children's books, there's a different element to that story, right? And it's the illustration that comes with the story, right? And the illustrations in Zizi's book is amazing, beautifully and culturally rich as well. Talk to me about the intentionality behind that and how much of a role you played in making sure that the illustrations were portrayed in a certain way or came out the way that you had envisioned for them too.
So firstly, shout out to Lingua Franca. And the illustrator is Tabiso Gwenza. He did an absolutely incredible job. I will give him his flowers. So because they are, it is their forte, let me say Lingua Franca is their forte, children's books, they have a knowledge and an essence as to what works and what's not. But the most important thing for me, I think, they took inspiration from the story and put the illustrations together, but I obviously had to vet Zizi.
Of course.
And the most important part for me was, because an illustration like that has never been done in the history of children's books, it was important that there was a near meticulousness for a child with albinism to see themselves through that illustration outside of myself, and then marry each and every other person. But because the story encompasses so many facets in terms of diversity and culture and inclusion and the overall of the theming behind it, it was important to represent each and every person as well in that book, so they see themselves in it. I might be speaking of Zizi, but a Bulela must see themselves in that book. A Rory, who is a boy, must see themselves in that book. A Miss Love, who is the teacher in the school, must see themselves in that way. But representation for me was so key in just giving out that overall message that we matter overall. So it was intentional. It was very intentional.
I love how you have fully encompassed every single individual that is likely to exist in society in the book. And I think it's so important because we aren't without the other, right?
Absolutely. And that's the biggest message of it all, is that we need to find a way of existing better with each other. The reason why society is where it's at is because we are not nurturing what we're doing in our homes. Let's remember that it does take a village to raise a child, but let's start from home and also trickle that through to the educators. Let's remember, let's remind society of who we are as Batu, so that we're better and we're not raising rapists, murderers, and everything that's happening. So I'm really trying to infiltrate that back into society, and also the reading culture needs to come back. There's so much of the digital age that's taking over with everything. Like, we need to get back to a sense of wholesomeness. I am because I had a father who made me read, you know, who made me sit down and read. We are because of the things that we are exposed to. So let's get back to that.
Are you looking at having it translated in other languages?
That is definitely a conversation, because I mean, we do live in South Africa, but that's an ongoing conversation. I would love, yes, they do want to translate it. 2, would love an audio and a braille version of it. So that's an ongoing conversation, but obviously I would love the support of the government. I will say it, because the education system needs to come into play with a book like this, of its importance, that it's not just a book, there are activities in the back as well.
Oh, I love that.
You know what I mean? So it's not just a book that's like written, oh, we're teaching inclusion and diversity and self-love and anti-bullying, etc., etc. There's an activity in the back which also speaks to really training the mind and getting your kids active, and bonding time between whoever the child is doing it with, whether it's self, whether it's the educator, whether it's auntie, whether it's mommy, daddy, granny, uncle.
So important because some of those things have just been forgotten and they play such a crucial role in the development of the young ones.
Listen,
right?
literature needs to get back up in South Africa. South Africa is at a low time high when it comes to literacy, and we need to instill back that culture in being very intentional in what we're teaching our kids and how we are doing it. If we have that, we have better kids and we have better adults.
Absolutely. Another role that you are stepping back into is the hosting role. The Basadi Music Awards are coming up on the 2nd of August, and you are a green carpet host. Ma'am, firstly, how do you feel about that?
So I'm one of 2 green carpet hosts, but I am ecstatic because people know that I come from a presenting background. So I mean, there's that, and I mean, I have hosted awards at awards shows. But to actually do green carpet is going to be the first time. First of all, it's the first time the Basadis does a green carpet. So, you know, it's the whole entertainment style kind of scenario. Exciting. But it's just bringing that essence, that finesse, and I love the idea of, I mean, I don't think it's an inclusivity thing, but I think it's just also giving me my flowers for being the meticulous broadcaster that I am, and kind of reminding people that, you know, it's what
she still got the sauce. Oh man, we actually can't wait to see you as a green carpet host. I think a lot of people are anticipating the Basadi Music Awards this year.
Celebrating women in music, you know, the essence of that. The people who were in the background were doing the work. The women in music and just around the people that support all of that. What is the important part for you when it comes to preparing for something like this? Because we do know that you know, you stand for women. We do know that you advocate for women. So what then becomes the important part for you when preparing for a role like this one? The important part for me is to bring the Black excellence that I have been groomed with, and I'll say groomed with because it's years of work. So when you do something like this, take the professionalism, take your energy, right? So it's preparing that energy. It's preparing, knowing that, like I always say, that you only get one shot in life. You do get one shot in life, and do it to the best of your ability, whatever you do. So it's mentally preparing for that, and it's knowing that you bring yourself from a space of God giving you an opportunity to do the work that He wants you to do. So it's just bringing, it's that revival. It's that revival. It is that energy that says, okay, I'm gonna light up the space.
Yes, and we cannot wait. Light up that space, so we can be reminded of your essence and who you are. And you speak about that energy, and it's so important because I think for most parts people don't realize that that's where we emanate from, right?
Absolutely.
That's ultimately who we are, and that's what people gravitate towards, right? I could be wearing my gown, I could be looking a certain way, but if the energy,
you see this. So I'm pouring back. I say it's like, for me, it's the opportunity to open energy. I take every opportunity that I have or space that I'm in to be able to bless. So I pour out as much as I am, yes, taking in, but my responsibility and my duty is to pour out. And what do you pour out? The love and the light.
Oh, and we are so blessed this morning to have this queen, grace us with her presence. Just in wrapping up our conversation, where can people get the book? I think it's such an important book, not just for the story that ought to be told, but for the very same thing that you were talking about, for reminding people of multiple things that they might have found themselves to have neglected.
Absolutely.
You know? So it is a very important book, and how can people actually then get the book?
People can get the book at Exclusive Books, Ethnic Kids, Book Circle Capital, Bargain Books, Loot, Macro, Take a Lot. Like, the list is absolutely endless.
I am in awe. I am feeling so delighted, and I can only imagine what you are feeling like back at home. Listen, Zizi's World Through Her Vanilla Eyes is more than just a children's book. It's a story of courage, identity, and compassion